Alright, this next flavor in this series is blueberry. Now, if you've been DIYing for any amount of time and have been trying to find a good blueberry, you know it's really difficult because a lot of blueberry flavors end up being perfumey or bitter or just weird, chemically, artificial, however you want to describe it. So it's hard to find a good blueberry. But I do believe that I found two that I can recommend above anything else. And I'm going to start off with Flavour West. Flavour West in general I do not recommend because they have a lot of questionable ingredients in there. Just in general, not specific flavors. Out of like all the flavoring brands, they seem to have the most amount of harmful chemicals like the ditones, diacetyl, that kind of thing. And I don't know, I find it poor quality for me personally. There are people that love it, but overall it's just kind of like the generic low quality brand. And the blueberry from them, it isn't bad, and if you use it at about 5% and then you leave the cap off like overnight, because it is kind of perfumey if you don't do anything to it. But if you leave it overnight without the cap on, it gets rid of the perfumey note to it. So it's not bad, but I don't know. It's just cheap, and I don't find Flavour West to be good quality personally. Perfumer's Apprentice has several different blueberries, 3 of which I'm going to talk about here. They might even have more than that, I don't remember. But the Perfumer's Apprentice Blueberry Extra, from what I understand, it's pretty much their regular blueberry, but more concentrated. Like, all of the extras are just like more concentrated versions of the original. And I don't know that I've ever had just the regular blueberry from them, or if they even have it anymore. But the extra is okay, but to me it comes off very perfumey. It's just like basically what I want to avoid when I get a blueberry flavor. A lot of people like it. I personally don't. It's pretty strong. Some people use it like way too high. That's, I think, a really common problem with DIYers in general, is they use too much of flavorings. And you have to understand that if you use too much of a flavor, it can actually have the adverse effect and taste weaker than if you were to do it at a lower percentage and work your way up. Now, there are some people that do it that way, and they'll start low and work their way up, and they found that the higher percentages work for them. But a lot of people don't take the effort to do that, and I think it's a major mistake, because I don't know, I have a lot of success with low percentages. With the Blueberry Extra, I think 3 to 5% is good. I would go lower than 3% if I had to use it, but I don't prefer that one. The other one is Blueberry Candy by Perfumer's Apprentice. This one I do like, but it doesn't taste like a genuine blueberry. It pretty much tastes like what it says it is, a blueberry candy. Kind of similar to the blue colored rock candy. Now, it's not like a blue raspberry, but sometimes you get the blue candies and it doesn't taste like blue raspberry, it tastes like more of like a blueberry kind of flavor, and that's what it tastes like. I do suspect that there's ethyl maltol in there because it does gunk coils very quickly. And I know this to be a fact because I've done 2 different Andromeda recipes, one using pretty much all Flavour Art compared to using all Perfumer's Apprentice with the blueberry candy in there. And the one from Flavour Art vaped a lot cleaner, and the coil gunking comparatively was much higher with the blueberry candy. And it had happened in other mixtures that I've used blueberry candy. So I do suspect that because of that and the flavor, because ethyl maltol has a very distinctive kind of cotton candy-ish flavor, which is present in this blueberry candy. So just be aware of that. I personally like it. It's just know that you're probably going to go through coils a lot quicker if you use it. And it is a tank cracker / plastic cracker. So not only are you going to have to worry about if you have a plastic tank, which most people now don't, most tanks have glass, Pyrex glass, whatever, but also have to keep in mind if you're using syringes for mixing, that, you know, those are made of plastic unless you get the glass ones, which are very expensive and kind of hard to find, that the plastic in that does erode as well, and I've had it happen to me. Basically, the little rubber stopper that's inside the syringe, it like breaks down to the point where you can't move the plunger in and out. Now, that didn't look right. Anyway, I mean, the plastic syringes are cheap, so if it's not an issue to you, then don't worry about it, but just something to keep in mind. That one I used around 5%, 3 to 5% depending on, you know, your mixture and how pronounced you want it to be. My favorite of Perfumer's Apprentice is Blueberry Wild. It tends to be the most authentic blueberry of what I've talked about so far. It's really good. It was my favorite blueberry until this last one that I'm going to talk about. And I wouldn't say that it's second to, you know, favorite or whatever. It's still a favorite. It's kind of like the strawberry where it's tied with another one, but it just depends on what you're looking for. This is just like a generic blueberry flavor, kind of like if you were to just pick it straight from like the bush or whatever. It is good at 3 to 5%. I don't find it perfumey at all. It mixes well with a lot of other fruits. It's just a really good one. Now, tie for first place for blueberry is by Flavour Art. Now, I just recently got this, basically due to a person on the forums. He kept recommending it really, you know, constantly or whatever, and I do trust him as far as certain flavors go, and I kept hearing good things about it, so I got, it's called Bilberry. I don't know why it's called Bilberry, but it's blueberry from Flavour Art. It could be because it's supposed to be a European blueberry, and maybe that's what they call it over there, I don't really know, but it's a little different than the regular blueberry in that it's darker. And I don't know how to explain it better than just say that it's a darker flavor. Kind of like a, you know, black currant or blackberry, how it's like a darker kind of fruit. It's kind of like what this is. It's just a darker version of the blueberry. I think it's really good. I was able to replace it in the Andromeda mixture, which is blueberry, pomegranate, and vanillin. I was able to make a duplicate recipe that used Blueberry Wild in the original one. I was able to replace that with the Bilberry with no issue in, you know, flavor. They were almost exact. My dad said they were exact, but I don't know, his taste buds aren't, they're still kind of recovering, I guess. I taste a difference, but it's not a bad difference. So, I don't know. I like it. The thing that I like the most is it does vape cleaner, because, I don't know, Flavour Art in general just seems to be cleaner than a lot of other flavorings, and I can use them at lower percentages than most flavorings. I can't think of one that I use above 3%. Normally it's 1 to 2%, depending on if I want it to be a base note or a top note or whatever. So, yeah, I really like it. Again, it blends really well with any other, you know, fruits or whatever. And it's also not a tank cracker like the blueberry candy is, so that's good as well. So that is it. Again, like I did in the other video, I'll post links of places that I get my flavorings from, just in case you're interested. If you have any questions, comments, put them below.